So Russ Brialt here with Shroud Encounter, and just wanted to upload a video with some thoughts I've been having lately. So, I don't know if you've picked up my book yet, Shroud Encounter, Explore the World's Greatest Unsolved Mystery. There's an interesting question that's posed in chapter 16. And the whole issue or the debate on relics, because it's for sure one can question the validity of a particular relic, such as the bones of Saint so and so, and how do you know? I mean, it's so there's reasonable question as to whether it really is what people think it is or say it is, and of course, the unique thing with the shroud is that it is tremendously testable, unlike the bone of something that you don't know if it's the bone of who it is. But with the shroud, obviously you have the front and back image of a 5'10" bearded crucified man covered with a pattern of bloodstains. Well, this isn't just some nondescript bone or anything. This is clearly testable. But John Calvin, early on in 1543, he wrote a book called A Treatise on Relics, and he poses a legitimate question. He says, how is it possible that those sacred historians who carefully related all the miracles that took place at Christ's death should have omitted to mention one so remarkable as the likeness of the body of our Lord remaining on its wrapping sheet? This fact undoubtedly would deserve to be recorded. And it's a reasonable objection. But I wanted to answer it because, we got to think about this. When the Gospels were written, and we're talking Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, these are the eyewitness accounts. They were written 20 to 30 years after the events in question. They were also written at a time of tremendous persecution, either on the part of the Jews or on the part of the Romans. Both had a vested interest in stamping out this new religion, and so. Now, it was called the discipline of the secret. Is that certain things had to be kept secret. No one's going to raise their hands and say, "Oh, persecute me, persecute me." Obviously, you're going to be, careful and discreet. And now think about this: this cloth, whether it had an image on it or not, bore the blood of the atonement, and so you would think that alone would warrant the mention of this cloth surviving the tomb, and yet the Gospels are absolutely silent on it. Yet it is the linen cloth lying there in the tomb, John chapter 20, verses 1 through 9. It's the first piece of evidence causing John, the Apostle John, to believe in the resurrection, based on the evidence of that linen shroud lying there in the tomb. So this is a significant thing because, it wasn't the empty tomb that caused John to believe. It was the linen cloth lying there, an empty linen cloth. Now, we don't know it doesn't say what he saw, whether he saw images or bloodstains or anything like that. But, however, now can you imagine, getting back to John Calvin's quote, can you imagine if any one of the Gospels or any one of the Pauline letters said, and something like, and Peter has the cloth that wrapped Jesus when he was in the tomb, stained with the blood of the atonement and etched with the image of his resurrection. Can you imagine if that was in the Bible? Would it not set off a search and destroy mission to find it and destroy it? So obviously, the Gospels had to be silent on the existence of the shroud past Resurrection Sunday. Because it's interesting, in Acts chapter 19, it talks about Paul circulating napkins and aprons that were associated with him, so pieces of fabric, circulating them among the crowd, and they were all getting healed. Well, so what do you suppose they would have thought about the last thing Jesus wore on earth? But at the same time, they had to be quiet about it, because this linen cloth was a document testifying to both the crucifixion and resurrection of Jesus. That would have been destroyed if they knew where it was, and this is why it was probably scurried out of Jerusalem pretty quick and brought to Edessa, which is in southern Turkey. And then that takes us into the historical trail. But I just wanted to address that question of, why are the Gospels silent on the shroud bearing an image of that we see on the Shroud of Turin even today? And I think that's a good and reasonable explanation. Thanks for tuning in.